have Kristen with us today. She is the owner of V-Trap Kitchen and Lounge in Wilmington, Delaware. And she's going to tell you about her life from start till now and explain a lot about her business and being a woman in business. So, hi Kristen, how are you today?
I'm good.
Good. How about if we start with your childhood?
Okay.
Just give me a brief summary of your childhood.
I lived mostly with my mom. In high school, I moved out to Washington, D.C. with my dad, right outside D.C. Normal childhood for the most part. I don't think anything stands out in particular. Yeah.
Okay, great. As a child, did you have any special talents or interests?
I had a lot of different interests. I definitely was into art. I'm still very into art and creative things. I did most of the cooking at home, which is not ironic in any sense, but my mom always tells a story of how I used to do the dishes. You know, she did the cooking, as most households would be with a child, I was 10 or 11. And then she realized, oh, well, you can kind of cook, and she didn't like to cook. So she said, why don't we swap? You cook and I'll do the dishes, which for me was perfect.
Yeah, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, so that was a good talent that I got to use early on. Yeah, and just like sports in general, I didn't do one particular sport at any time, but I did field hockey for a little bit, cheerleading for a little bit. More in my adult years, I did some more extreme sports, but yeah.
Okay, great. So then you went to college. What type of college did you go to?
I went to Virginia Tech for business. I initially, in high school, I did cooking throughout high school. I worked almost full time while I was in high school, and received a scholarship for Johnson & Wales to go to culinary school. And after thinking through it, and I made the decision to actually go to Virginia Tech instead and study business management, which ended up being a wise choice in the end. I think it's helped me tremendously here. Yeah, so
great.
It worked out.
And so from college, then what did you do?
So out of college, well, and kind of during college as well, I did some marketing stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with this area, but there used to be a place called Kahunaville.
Oh, yeah.
And they used to have happy hours,
Yeah.
and so I would help plan events there. We would just organize happy hours and get people to come out and all of that stuff when I was younger, like in my 20s. And from there, I ended up going to corporate world, and I was in banking. I did fraud analysis and really cool stuff.
You did everything.
I was like a dabbler in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And then you were a teacher, right?
Yes. And I went to teach. So I was corporate. Well, it's actually funny, my transition. While I was in banking, they had a mentor program where you could leave work and you could go read to other students and help coach and mentor them. And so I joined that program. I was like, oh, I really like this. I like teaching, and I started doing Saturday school up in Philly, and then eventually I went to Teach for America, which is like a training program for teachers. Became a teacher, and my first job was at the school that I used to mentor at. So it was like a full circle kind of experience.
And
so
how long did you do that?
I taught also for about 7 years. And yeah, it was great. It was definitely an experience.
Okay, so you taught for 7 years. And how did you go from teaching to this business, V-Trap?
Yes. When I really think through it, it all makes sense, I feel like. My husband and I had been talking for years about finding healthy food on the go, right? So we've got 4 kids. We're both teaching.
4 kids.
Yes. 4 kids, which does sound a little crazy. And we're teaching and we're in shape, so we like to go to the gym. We have this whole little routine of like, get off work, get the kids, go to the gym, come home, cook dinner. But there's times you don't want to cook dinner. Like, I don't have
Right.
the energy to cook dinner.
Right.
But there was nothing I wanted to eat on the way home. I'm not going to Burger King. I'm not going to Wendy's after I just did a great workout. And so this idea had kind of been brewing for years. And I recently even saw on Facebook, you know, it pops up from years ago. I had posted something like 8 years ago about how great it would be to have a healthy drive-through. Oh, it looks like we have some healthy drive-through food
look
now.
at this beautiful food from this beautiful girl here. Thank you.
Welcome, Thank you. Yeah, these are our
Okay.
house-made tacos.
Yeah, this is an example of one of the dishes here.
Yeah,
So you use all vegan
all vegan. Yeah,
ingredients.
and that just means, right, it's dairy-free. There's no meat, no eggs, no honey, but it's all real food. We try
Beautiful.
to use minimally processed stuff. Of course, the taco shells are processed technically, but everything else is, you know, made in-house.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and that's part of it. I'm very particular about how the things look because I think that's part
Right.
of the experience.
Presentation.
Yeah.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, so it's vegan, beautiful food, and you serve it here.
Yes.
And there's something we missed. What did you do before this restaurant?
Well, so that's part of the healthy on the go thing
Yes.
was, okay, I cannot create a drive-through. I don't have money to just take $100,000 and open someplace. And I ended up actually getting a concussion last year, which is part of the story because during that time, it was pretty severe, like double concussion. I couldn't teach for 6 weeks. And they told me, of all people, to go home and relax and do nothing, which I don't know if anyone else is like me, but I cannot relax. No TV, no computer, no phone,
Right.
don't
No
read.
reading.
So I just thought and thought and thought, which I was also not supposed to do, and came up with this food truck idea. Like, how great.
Food truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To have a food truck, have healthy food on the truck. There's nothing else. I've never seen a healthy food truck in my life. And be out and about and be available for people to get healthy food. So that's kind of our start.
Yes.
And then
So you started that last year or the
last
year before?
year,
Last year.
last April. So
And
This
I
past
do
year.
have a picture that I'm showing you right now of the food truck. It's called
nude food.
Nude Food. Isn't that clever?
Yeah, I always tell people, I'm
Nude
like, we're
food.
not naked in the truck. You know, we're fully clothed. That would be weird. But
Nude food.
yeah, it's all just natural, real food.
Okay. So then, how did you go from having a food truck to the restaurant?
Yeah, so part of the things you learn going through the process of being a permitted food facility is you need a kitchen. We had a kitchen that we would rent out. It was very expensive, difficult. We couldn't store our food there. You know, we're buying food, bringing it there, cooking it. It was just a lot more difficult. So we were like, let's start looking for a kitchen that we could use. And we weren't in a rush. We weren't looking for a restaurant. It wasn't like, let's find a place. Went through the process with the realtor, and he was great. He knew what we were looking for. Found this place, and initially it was just supposed to be the kitchen. We just wanted the kitchen side.
Right.
Got super lucky after meeting the landlord. He said, hey, try it out. Use the dining room and the kitchen. And I said, okay. To my husband, we're doing a restaurant now. He's like, is that what you want to do? I said, I think so. And we just kind of went for it. So that was sort of when I had to make the decision too of like, am I quitting my job teaching or not? Because I was
Okay.
teaching when we started the truck. So it was sort of jump in with 2 feet and figure out the rest.
You sure did.
Yeah.
So you've been here since March. you
We opened
said,
in March.
And it's now June.
Yeah.
You've done a lot in that time.
Yes.
So has it been easy?
No.
Of course not.
No.
You've encountered some difficulties and problems
Yeah.
and struggles. Just name a few.
I mean, I think even starting with the food truck, I always tell people, you know, when you want to own your own business, maybe you're really good. Like for me, I was good at cooking, and I had the background from my other jobs to be good at like paperwork and Excel and finance.
Right.
But there were so many skills I didn't know I would need to know. One being an electrician, knowing how the generator works, or propane. I have to change my propane tanks. Things that you just literally would never think of. And the same has kind of happened here with licensing and getting a new floor in the kitchen and all the intricacies that
Right.
you don't really consider when you're like, oh, well, I'm great at cooking, I can be a restaurant owner.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And of course I wasn't blindly going into it, but there's still always a surprise of something new that you have to figure out.
Let's go back to this idea. Kristen has 4 children and a husband. Please tell me how you manage all of that.
It's very hard. Very hard. I think it's almost like my biggest strength and something I struggle with, where when deciding our hours for the restaurant, of course we considered the market and where we're at and what's going to be most profitable, but a lot of it was centered around that family time. And so we made sort of a hard decision, at least for now, that we close at 6 during those weekdays and at 8 on the weekends, so that I can have that time. So I'm home before my kids go to sleep. And not to say that anyone who comes home after their kids to sleep is any less, but for me that was just really important that I could have that special time with them. My husband's a great support to be able to do all the running around and
You're so
all the
lucky.
things. Yes.
Yes.
He's definitely like my other half, where I'm one way and he's that balancing piece.
So I'm thinking about things like homework and dinner time and driving the kids to their activities.
Yes.
He does most of that.
He does probably 85% of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I would say
great.
before, that was me. Like, I'm the teacher, I'm gonna help with homework, I've got dinner going, I was trying to do it all. And now, sometimes I'll be able to make them dinner here and he'll come pick it up and send it home with them. So I get that sort of
Yes.
balance for me where I feel like
Yes.
I did my mom duty.
Yes.
But yeah, it's every day is different and challenging, and finding what's going to work for our family.
So he works too.
He also works in a school. He's a dean,
Oh, okay.
so he has a lot of challenges throughout the day and a long day.
Right.
He does have off for the summer, which I'm greatly looking forward to for the
Yes,
extra
thank
help.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
But our kids will be in here running around and doing work and playing chalk outside. But I think a lot of our customers really enjoy seeing them here too, and knowing like we're real people. My kids are fighting in the back, like it's just normal stuff
Yes.
going on.
There's so much I want to ask you, but you did mention right before we started that you really work on creating a community place
Yeah.
and being involved in the community.
Yeah.
I just think that's so nice. You said some people come in for to-go food,
Yeah.
and then what happens?
And they end up staying. When people come in, we ask them, hey, is your food for here, for to go? And you can kind of see them look around like, I think I'm going to stay. So it's just really nice. And even
It's nice.
you'll see people at the bar who don't know each other at all. You would never think they would talk to each other. And they start up a conversation, and it's just, it feels comfortable, and everyone's, I actually really notice people are not on their phones. They're not, on their devices. We purposefully don't share our Wi-Fi for that reason. Just so that you can just enjoy it. Like,
Right,
even if you're
right.
alone, just sit and eat your food and relax.
You've really created a certain comfortable space here
Yeah.
that I can feel just when I walked in. I mean, you had a really nice girl talk to me.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. How do you find beautiful, helpful, friendly, talkative people?
They're, our employees are actually the best. Like, I feel like people say that and don't actually mean it sometimes, but We really pride ourselves on building relationships with our employees. So I was saying right now we're even short-staffed because it is hard to find people that fit with, like, this is our family. I'm here every day. I see them as much, if not more, than my kids and my husband. So, and we're entrusting them with our life. Like, this is our business,
Yes.
but this is our livelihood. So, you know, we go out like the normal methods and find people. But when people come in, one of the first things I tell them is about being a person first. And if you're sick or whatever, you got to call out. Like, I'm not going to hold it against you. You got to stay home and get better.
Right.
So
Nobody
you can
else
come
wants
back
to get
in.
sick.
Yeah, right. So I think that's really important to us. And everyone here gets along. There's no weird tension.
Nice.
Everyone talks and laughs. And, you know, I think they really enjoy coming to work, which is great. It
That
feels
is great.
good for us that we've built that sort of culture here.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Kristen, you went from teaching to the food truck to the restaurant. How does your family, how do your parents and your siblings and your friends feel about all this? Are they supportive? Are they helpful?
Yeah, no, everyone's always supportive. Everything I've done, I've definitely had family support behind me and friends like, wow, you're doing that now? But I don't think it's surprising to anyone. They're always like, oh, Kristen, you're doing that. Like, they're excited and love it. But I don't think it's like, are you crazy? What are you doing?
Oh,
you know?
good.
Yeah,
You
no,
have
there's
good
definitely none of that.
friends. And you mentioned that they sometimes help you and take your children for you.
Yeah, well, we have so much family help, aunts and grandmoms and dad, who we can call up, and like my dad worked on the food truck today, and our Aunt Dina worked last week. So whether it's just coming to help paint and clean the place up to actually working or watching the kids, we're really fortunate to have those kind of people who are willing to do that.
You truly are. Okay, Kristen, how do you manage your daily activities? Give me an idea of your day from the time you wake up till the time you go to bed at night.
Yes. So I wake up at like a normal 6 a.m. with the kids. Usually my husband's getting these two kids ready. I'm help getting the other two, or, you know, switch off, tag team kind of deal. He ends up taking usually our oldest to middle school. She's earlier. And then our youngest is usually going somewhere, an aunt's house to his mom's house. You know, we're driving her all over. And then I usually toggle between running errands before I take the other two to school and bring them along, and we're going to the grocery store or the restaurant store, or I drop them off and do the mad dash to get whatever supplies we need. I come in here. Typically in the mornings I'm getting the truck ready for some event for lunch. So we're loading the truck, turning on the generator, opening the restaurant sort of simultaneously, checking in with employees like, hey, we need this, or let's do this today.
Right.
And then throughout the day is just, every day is so different. It could be that I'm doing paperwork on the computer while ringing customers up, or placing orders for food. It's a little crazy.
Do you ever cook?
Yes. So
You drive the truck?
if I'm working on the truck, sometimes I cook. If I'm able to bring one of the other cooks, they will cook and I'll ring people up.
Okay.
Or if it's super busy, we'll both cook.
Right. Who does the accounting?
I do all that.
Okay.
The marketing, the phone calls for food, all that, you know, good stuff. The menu planning, hiring, all the fun little details too.
Wow.
Yeah.
By the way, how did you come up with such a clever menu? So creative.
You know, it's funny. I took all of my favorite foods and threw them on the menu. I will say though, at the restaurant, we've kind of gotten a good base for our menu. So we have our everyday favorites. And those are a combination of everything we've done on the truck that people have loved, we kept. I think
Okay.
the challenge with the truck is people will come for one thing and we don't have it because we didn't have everything on there all the time.
Right.
So now at the restaurant, it's like you can always get these 7 things And then we have a seasonal menu that will rotate every 2 or 3 months. But it's just, I tried to make it so you could make it at home. It's nothing crazy. It's not super vegan food like twigs and, you know,
Right.
crazy stuff. It's just food. And
Yeah.
whether you're vegan or not, people really enjoy it.
You are so young and seem to be so energetic. How do you do it all? How do you pull it all together and balance it all?
I definitely don't. I think it can appear that way, just on the outside, and just, you know, of course we all try to look like we have it all together, but I was just telling the story about how last week even I literally was a mess. Like, it was not pretty at all. Borderline depression, like just meltdown. I can't do anything. I don't want to get out of bed, but I have these 875 things to do, and all over the place, where to the point where I felt like I couldn't ask for help because I would have to tell you how to help me, and I couldn't even tell you how to help me. And just all out, like the whole thing, the crying, like almost on the floor sort of deal. And, you know, I took a day and just had to let that be. And thank goodness for my husband, who kind of, he probably was clueless and didn't know what to do either, but he sort of stepped in and was like, okay, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm going to get this all together. And for me, it was more proof to me that I need to get better at relaxing
Okay.
and finding that balance. So the lesson I sort of learned from that is being proactive about finding your peace, whatever it is. If it's yoga, if it's working out. For me, it is more meditation, and I kind of mentioned that time with my kids, but I think the thing I'm not good at all is time for myself. I feel a lot of times that, like, even this dream that I'm realizing that it's for me, so I don't take that time for myself, whether it's like, oh, I'm going to the spa. I feel sort of selfish if I were to do
Right.
that. But I think I need to, and no one in my life looks at me any differently when I do, so I should just let the guilt go and take that time,
Yes.
rather than being on the floor crying.
Right. Not every day, not every week,
Right.
but once in a while,
Yeah.
you need that. You need that time to yourself, to
Yeah.
pamper yourself and just pull it all back together.
Right.
You're human.
I know, yeah. But it's hard to tell people that. You can't just take a day off when you own your own business. But you need to somehow. So I've been trying to schedule myself off, and that was another lesson I learned, where I have Sundays and Mondays off technically because we're closed, but how about a random Thursday? I just schedule myself off and have, you know, the great employees that I have who
Yes.
know how to do their job. Let them be and let them work. So that's,
And they might really appreciate that too.
Yeah.
Having the extra responsibility
Yeah.
and having you be proud of them when you come back and the place didn't fall to the ground.
right, nothing
you know.
burnt
Yes.
down to the ground.
Customers were happy.
Yes.
Yes. By the way, I saw your Facebook business page. You
Yeah.
have so many happy customers.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah, they all talk about the food and the atmosphere here. And,
Yeah.
you know, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're really trying to build that community of people that supports each other, and I think one of the things we really pride ourselves on is working with other businesses and small business owners to support each other. So whether it's hanging art on the walls, or recently another local business who has a vegan menu, and we shared that with our customers, and we just feel like that helps everyone, you know, by
Yes.
all of us supporting each other. It's too hard to do alone, so why not?
Not
help each
everyone
other?
would do that.
Yeah.
I really credit you for reaching out and recognizing other people in the same business. You know,
Yeah.
competition is good,
Yeah,
and why not?
right. And it doesn't always feel good. I have to admit, sometimes I'm like, ugh, you know, why are they doing that? Like, we're doing that, and it's tough. You kind of struggle with yourself, but I think looking at the bigger picture, and again trusting my instinct and my gut of what feels right, is like know I want to support everyone, and we're all just doing the best we can. So why not cheer each other on?
Kristen, what drives you?
I think, part of our mission here about building community with everyone, and for me, that's what I like to see is people coming together, whether it's people that wouldn't normally, talk to each other or be part of each other's lives, but just supporting each other. And I kind of joke when I talk about my little motto is like, I just want everyone to love everyone, which sounds super cheesy and corny, but I just really want everyone to get along, and feel like a lot of times we all go about our day just sort of in this box and doing what we think we're supposed to do, and not getting to be our true selves. So this for me is a way to sort of bring my home to everyone else and let people build relationships with each other. So
That's a
really
great
drives me.
intention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're trying. We're trying.
You certainly are. How about money? How do you feel about money? Does money drive you?
No, not at all. I think it's tough because we all need money to live. And even here, a lot of my stress comes from doing the finances, where you can get obsessed with like, oh my gosh, we need this many sales, or we need to make this much money in order to survive. And I really just trusted in it's going to work out and it's going to be the way it's supposed to be. And the money will come. Like, I definitely haven't gotten a paycheck for over a year at this point, which is hard, but we've just cut out some things. We're not struggling. I can't sit here and say like, oh, we're eating noodles out of a box or anything, we're lucky enough to have a restaurant, so we're not going to go hungry.
Yes.
But it just works out, and we just find a way to cut out the things we don't really need. We like to save our money for vacations and traveling and just being together, so that helps.
I was going to ask if you have time for vacations.
Not really, but make time. We're kind of, my daughter does competitive dance, so we're turning her competition into sort of a family vacation. We also love to go camping, which is pretty inexpensive. So again, because we're building our staff to be able to trust them so that we can get 4 or 5 days away, we're making that a priority to do. And honestly, if I had to, I would just close the restaurant for a few days, and it would be tough, and I would worry about money for sure, but I think the benefits would outweigh that worry in the end.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Your kids need that too.
Yeah. And I don't want them to grow up resenting the restaurant, like, ugh, mommy's restaurant, that kind of thing.
Right.
Where we get them to work. They're behind the bar, and like behind the bar, but we don't serve alcohol, right? So they're serving lemonade and ringing customers up, and it's really cool to see. Yeah.
And your kids are age 14
To 3.
3. Wow.
Yeah.
God
So
bless
good.
you.
And they're all girls, so I need all the help I can get.
Wow.
So we all know what it's like to be a young girl and their mother, which is always interesting. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, I think everything will work out for you with
Yeah.
your family and with your restaurant. You're building the blocks right now,
Yes.
and at least you have that vision, that intention, and I think it will come. All of the money will come.
Yeah. And
The
that's,
customers will keep coming more and more.
yeah.
Do you have any advice to offer other women who might want to start a business?
Yeah. I say go for it. A lot of it is trusting your instinct. We're all really afraid to take that next step. I was kind of on the edge when we had the food truck. Things were going well, but it was time to go back to school. Summer was over, and I'm a teacher. I did have the support of my husband, who he's probably crazier than me, because he said, you want to do it, and we'll figure the money out. But I think if you're truly passionate and you just trust your instinct and just do it, and it's not going to be easy at all. But for me, coming to work every day, like, I can say in the last year I've never woken up and been like, ugh, I gotta go to work again. I might be
Great.
stressed
Yes.
and I'm tired and I'm exhausted, but I want to be here. And I think we should all have that feeling. Everyone should. You work every day of your life, basically.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
should go to work happy and fulfilled. And so if whatever it is that you want to do is going to fulfill you, then I say just trust your gut and your instinct and do it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You're so young and you get all this.
I'm trying.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
So congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to find Kristen at V-Trap Kitchen and Lounge, the address is
607 North Lincoln Street in Wilmington, Delaware. We're right in the heart of Italy. So, yeah, come stop by and say hi.
definitely worth the trip.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you learned a few things from this special guest. Please like and subscribe, and most importantly, share this video with others who you think might enjoy it. And remember, if you or someone you know would like to share your real stories, please message me. Don't be shy. Then I can keep sending more remarkable women your way. Bye for now. Come back often.